Long before the lands were divided by borders and names, when the earth was wild and the people of the great savannas lived in harmony with nature, a child was born beneath the watchful gaze of the towering baobab trees. His name was Jabari, and his fate was woven with threads of sorrow and triumph. This is the tale of a boy cast into the wilderness, his journey through exile, and his rise to reclaim his destiny. A story of betrayal, resilience, and the power of forgiveness. Listen closely, for within this tale lies a lesson that echoes through time. Jabari's father, Tao, was a mighty warrior and protector of Ekond, the village nestled at the foot of the great mountains. His mother, Nia, was a healer, known for her wisdom and gentle strength. The village elders spoke of Jabari's birth as both a blessing and a warning, for on the night he was born, the sky split with lightning, and the heavens roared with thunder. A child born of the storm shall walk a path of both glory and sorrow, an elder murmured. As a boy, Jabari was filled with curiosity and courage. He ran through the fields with the other children, climbed trees taller than huts, and listened intently to the stories his mother told by the fire. But despite his joyful nature, there was a shadow over him. When Jabari was but 5 years old, his father was killed in a battle against raiders who sought to plunder Ekonde's wealth. His loss left a scar upon the village, and though the people mourned Tao's bravery, some whispered that misfortune followed his bloodline. In the years that followed, Nia worked tirelessly to provide for her son. But grief, like an unshakable burden, weighed upon her. Though she held her head high, the elders watched her with weary eyes. Misfortune seemed to cling to their home, crops withered, the rains came late, and strange illnesses spread among the livestock. Superstition ran deep in the village, and soon, fearful whispers turned into accusations. The boy was born under a cursed sky, some said. His family is marked by misfortune. Jabari noticed the way people avoided his gaze, how some of the other children were warned not to play with him. One evening, as he sat beside his mother, he asked, "Why do they look at me with fear, mother?" Nia's warm fingers brushed over his hair. "Fear blinds the heart, my son," she said. "People look for someone to blame when hardship comes. But the baobab tree does not bow to the wind, it stands firm, and so shall you." But the weight of the villagers' fears grew heavier. When the drought came, bringing famine and despair, the elders convened in secret. Desperate to find a solution, they sought an answer in the old ways. A sacrifice, a cleansing, they believed only by casting out the source of misfortune could the village be saved. One fateful night, under the cover of darkness, the decision was made. Nia and Jabari were to be exiled. A knock came at their hut just before dawn. Nia opened the door to find the village elders standing there, their faces heavy with unspoken words. The chief, Kofi, stepped forward. "Nia," he said gravely, "the ancestors have spoken. The village cannot thrive while misfortune lingers. You and the boy must leave." Jabari's heart pounded as he clung to his mother's side. Nia's eyes, filled with sorrow yet unwavering, met the chief's. "The ancestors do not speak through fear, Kofi. This is not their will, it is yours." But there was no room for argument. The people of Ekond had made their choice. With only the clothes on their backs and a small satchel of provisions, Nia and Jabari walked away from the village they once called home, stepping into the vast unknown. The gates of Ekond closed behind them, and ahead lay the wilderness, unforgiving, treacherous, and unknown. Jabari felt his mother squeeze his hand tightly. "Do not be afraid, my son," she whispered. "The path ahead may be dark, but even the smallest light can guide us through the night." And so, with nothing but hope and each other, they walked on, unaware of the destiny that awaited them beyond the wilderness. The wilderness was vast and unrelenting, stretching beyond the horizon with no sign of an end. The trees whispered in the wind, their twisted branches reaching like skeletal fingers toward the sky. The ground was dry and cracked, thirsting for rain that had long since abandoned it. Jabari and Nia walked through this merciless land, their feet aching, their bodies weary, but their resolve unbroken. The sun burned overhead by day, and the nights brought a chill that seeped into their very bones. Each moment was a test, each breath a fight for survival. As they pressed forward, Jabari's stomach growled with hunger. He had not eaten in 2 days, and his limbs felt weak. He turned to his mother, his voice barely above a whisper. "Mother, will we find food soon?" Nia, though just as exhausted, smiled softly. "The land provides for those who know where to look." She led him toward a cluster of low shrubs, plucking a handful of small, bitter berries. "Eat these. They will not fill your belly, but they will give you strength." Jabari chewed slowly, the tartness shocking his senses awake. It was not much, but it was enough to keep him moving. That night, as they rested beneath the towering trees, strange sounds echoed in the darkness. Distant growls, rustling leaves, the heavy padding of unseen creatures. Jabari's heart pounded. "Mother, what was that?" he whispered, clutching her arm. Nia listened intently, her fingers tightening around the small dagger she carried. "The night belongs to many," she murmured. "We must be still." Moments passed in tense silence before the rustling ceased. But just as Jabari began to relax, a soft whisper slithered through the air. "Lost ones, wanderers of fate." Jabari froze. The voice was neither near nor far, neither human nor beast. It seemed to come from the very air itself. The shadows around them deepened, forming shapes that moved on their own. Figures of mist and darkness stepped forward, their hollow eyes glowing faintly. "The spirits," Nia whispered, bowing her head. "They watch us." One of the spirits, taller than the rest, spoke in a voice as ancient as the trees. "You walk a path cast by men and blessed by destiny. Why do you seek the unknown?" Jabari swallowed hard, but he found his voice. "We seek a home. A place where we will not be feared." The spirits murmured among themselves. Finally, the tallest one nodded. "Your path is not yet clear, but your heart remains untainted. Beware the trials ahead. Not all who wander are lost, but many who search will not find." With that, the spirits dissolved into the night, their whispers fading like mist at dawn. Jabari turned to his mother. "What did they mean?" Nia exhaled slowly. "A warning. And a blessing." They resumed their journey at dawn, pressing deeper into the wilderness. The further they walked, the more the land seemed to change. The air thickened, the trees grew taller, their branches entwining like grasping hands. Then, without warning, the ground beneath them trembled. A massive shape slithered from the undergrowth, its golden eyes gleaming. Jabari gasped, stumbling back as a creature unlike any he had ever seen emerged. It had the body of a monstrous serpent, but its face was that of a woman. "The Snake Queen," Nia whispered in awe. "She is ancient." The creature regarded them with curiosity. "Two wanderers," she hissed, her voice smooth as silk. "The outcast of men. What do you seek in my domain?" Jabari, still trembling, found his courage. "We seek survival." The Snake Queen tilted her head. "Many seek survival, but few earn it." She studied them for a long moment before coiling around herself. "You are different. You carry no greed, no malice. For that, I grant you this." From the folds of her massive coils, she lifted a small egg, shimmering with an otherworldly light. "This is a gift," she said. "It holds power, but only if wielded with wisdom." Jabari hesitated before stepping forward and accepting the egg with reverence. The moment his fingers touched its smooth shell, warmth spread through him. The Snake Queen's gaze lingered on him. "Your journey is far from over, child of thunder. The storm follows you still." With that, she turned and slithered back into the undergrowth, vanishing as swiftly as she had appeared. Jabari looked at his mother, wonder and fear mingling in his eyes. "What do we do now?" Nia placed a hand on his shoulder. "We keep walking." And so they did, carrying with them the weight of destiny and the gift of the Snake Queen. Jabari and Nia ventured deeper into the wilderness, the weight of the Snake Queen's gift pressing against his chest. Each step carried them further from the only home they had ever known, yet they moved forward, guided by hope and necessity. The landscape shifted as they traveled. The dry, cracked earth of the plains gave way to dense, tangled woods. Trees loomed over them, their twisted branches forming a canopy that swallowed the light. The air was thick, humming with an energy neither of them could explain. Jabari glanced at his mother. "This place feels different." Nia nodded, her eyes scanning the surroundings. "The land speaks in whispers. We must listen." As night fell, they settled near the base of a massive tree, its roots curled like ancient fingers gripping the earth. The wind howled through the forest, carrying strange murmurs that sent chills down Jabari's spine. Then, the silence shattered. A low growl rumbled in the distance, followed by the snap of branches. Nia was on her feet instantly, dagger drawn. Jabari's heart pounded as he clutched the glowing egg, its warmth the only comfort against the encroaching fear. From the shadows, eyes gleamed, too many to count. Shapes shifted in the darkness, moving with unnatural grace. The figures stepped forward, revealing themselves in the flickering light of the moon. They were not beasts, nor men. They were something in between. "Wraiths," Nia whispered. "Hunters of the lost." Jabari's breath hitched. The wraiths' bodies were cloaked in shadow, their limbs long and sinewy. Their faces were voids, featureless yet full of malice. They circled like vultures, silent and calculating. One of them stepped forward, its voice slithering through the night. "You do not belong here." Jabari felt the egg pulse in his hands. He gritted his teeth. "We have no quarrel with you. Let us pass." The wraith laughed, a sound like dry leaves scraping against stone. "None who enter leave untouched." Before Jabari could react, the wraith lunged. Nia moved in a flash, her dagger slicing through the air. The blade passed through the creature, but instead of wounding it, the wraith merely rippled like smoke. Jabari's mind raced. He gripped the egg tighter. If steel could not harm them, what could? Then, as if in answer, the egg flared brightly. The wraith recoiled, hissing in pain. Jabari's pulse quickened. He stepped forward, raising the egg high. A surge of light burst forth, flooding the forest with brilliance. The wraiths howled as their shadows melted, dissolving into nothingness. The air hummed with energy before falling silent once more. Nia exhaled, lowering her dagger. "The gift of the Snake Queen," she murmured. "It holds more power than we knew." Jabari swallowed hard, staring at the egg, now dim but still pulsing faintly. "Then we must understand it. Before the next trial finds us." With the wraiths vanquished and the path ahead uncertain, they pressed forward, the weight of their journey heavier than ever. Jabari and Nia continued their journey, leaving the eerie remains of the wraiths behind. Though the forest had returned to silence, the shadows seemed to breathe, watching their every step. The path beyond the whispering trees led Jabari and Nia to a vast clearing, where the land was eerily silent. No birds called from the treetops, and no insects hummed in the air. The stillness felt unnatural, as though the very earth held its breath. Nia placed a protective hand on Jabari's shoulder. "Something is watching us," she whispered. Before Jabari could respond, the ground trembled beneath them. A gust of wind howled through the clearing, and from the shadows, a colossal figure emerged. It had the body of a lion, the wings of an eagle, and eyes that burned like molten gold. "The guardian," Nia murmured in awe. "The protector of the old ways." The creature's voice rumbled like distant thunder. Who dares walk this sacred ground? Jabari stepped forward, his heart hammering. We are travelers seeking refuge. We mean no harm. The guardian's golden eyes locked onto him. You carry a gift, one that does not belong to you alone. The burden of power is heavy. Are you prepared to bear it? Jabari hesitated. He had faced many trials, but this was different. This was a question not of strength or skill, but of responsibility. I do not fully understand the gift, Jabari admitted. But I will not run from it. The guardian studied him for a long moment before nodding. Then prove yourself. Without warning, the beast lunged, its claws tearing through the air. Jabari barely had time to react. He leapt to the side, rolling across the ground as the guardian's massive form crashed down where he had stood. Nia called out, Jabari, the egg. He grasped the snake queen's egg tightly. Its warmth pulsed through him, filling his body with strength. He closed his eyes, willing the power to awaken. The egg flared with a blinding light. When Jabari opened his eyes, he saw golden tendrils of energy wrapping around his hands. He raised them instinctively, and a wave of light shot forth, striking the guardian in the chest. The beast roared, not in pain, but in recognition. The golden light shimmered around it, and suddenly, it stilled. Its wings folded, and its gaze softened. You have passed the test, the guardian declared. Strength alone does not make a leader. Nor does fear. You have chosen courage, not violence. Wisdom, not recklessness. Jabari released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The egg's glow dimmed, its energy retreating once more. The guardian lowered its great head in respect. Your path is not yet complete, it said. But you have taken a step toward your destiny. Go forth, child of thunder. The land watches, and the spirits whisper your name. With a final, mighty beat of its wings, the guardian vanished into the sky, leaving only the rustling of leaves in its wake. Nia turned to Jabari, pride in her eyes. Your father would have been proud. Jabari looked at the egg in his hands, feeling its power but also its responsibility. He was no longer just a boy cast out of his village. He was something more. Something greater. With renewed determination, he and Nia continued forward, stepping onto a new path, toward a future yet unwritten. Jabari and Nia walked beyond the guardian's clearing, their steps slow and deliberate. The forest had thinned, revealing a path carved into the land as if it had been waiting for them. The air smelled fresher here, tinged with the scent of damp earth and distant rain. Above them, the sky darkened with gathering clouds, rumbling like an unseen force awakening. For the first time in weeks, Jabari could see the valley of Ikond in the distance. His heart pounded as memories flooded back, the village he once called home, the people who had cast them out, the pain of exile. But something was different now. He was not returning as the boy they had abandoned. He was returning as something more. Nia placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Are you ready, my son? Jabari exhaled deeply. I must be. The journey down the valley path was lined with the remnants of old settlements, abandoned huts overtaken by creeping vines. The drought had not only stolen the village's crops but had also driven some of its people away. Yet those who remained had endured, waiting for salvation. As they approached the outermost farms, a pair of villagers spotted them. A young girl gasped, dropping her basket of dried roots, while an older man gripped his walking staff tightly. The whisper spread like wildfire. Jabari has returned. By the time they reached the village gates, a crowd had gathered. Faces Jabari once knew stared at him with a mixture of awe, fear, and curiosity. Mothers clutched their children close, warriors rested their hands on the hilts of their spears. The air buzzed with uncertainty. The village elder, Kofi, stepped forward, his once proud shoulders slumped with age and hardship. His eyes held regret, though his voice remained firm. Jabari. Nia, you have returned. Jabari met his gaze. I never truly left, he replied. You turned me away, but I did not abandon my people. A murmur rippled through the villagers. Some hung their heads, ashamed. Others clung to old superstitions, their faces still lined with doubt. The drought has worsened, Kofi admitted. Our fields have withered, and our wells have nearly run dry. The warriors we sent to seek aid never returned. We are weak, Jabari. Jabari unfastened the satchel at his side, revealing the egg given to him by the Snake Queen. It pulsed with a soft glow, radiating an ancient power. Gasps of shock and whispers of fear spread through the crowd. This, Jabari declared, holding the egg high, is a gift from the spirit who dwells beyond the wilderness. She has given me her blessing, not as a curse, but as a sign of renewal. The villagers exchanged wary glances. An elder woman stepped forward, her voice hesitant. And what would you have us do, child? Jabari's voice rang clear. We rebuild. Not just our homes, but our hearts. The land suffers because we have allowed fear to divide us. The ancestors do not reward cowardice, but they bless those who seek unity. A hush fell over the crowd. Then, after a long pause, Kofi bowed his head. You speak with wisdom beyond your years, Jabari. He turned to the villagers. If the spirits have chosen him, who are we to deny their will? One by one, the people knelt in respect. The old ways had led them astray, but hope now flickered in their eyes. As the Snake Queen's egg pulsed brighter, the sky above rumbled. The first drop of rain fell onto the dry, cracked earth. Then another. And another. Jabari lifted his face to the sky as the heavens opened, washing away the sins of the past. The drought had ended. As the villagers cheered and wept, Jabari stood tall, not as an exile, but as the leader Ikon had needed all along. The rain fell steadily upon Ikon, soaking the parched earth and breathing life into the village once more. The people stood in awe, their faces lifted to the sky, welcoming the long-awaited blessing. But this was not just rain, it was a promise, a new beginning. Jabari lowered the Snake Queen's egg, feeling its warmth fade slightly in his hands. The storm had passed, but his true test had only begun. He turned to the elders, to Kofi, to the villagers who had once feared him. The land has given us a second chance, he said, his voice steady. We must not waste it. The crowd murmured, uncertainty mingling with hope. A young boy stepped forward, his wide eyes locked onto Jabari. Will you lead us? He asked. Jabari hesitated. He had spent so much of his journey proving himself, enduring trials that tested his strength and wisdom, but the idea of ruling a people that had once cast him aside filled him with doubt. Nia placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. A leader is not chosen by birth or by fate, she said softly. A leader is chosen by those who believe in him. Kofi stepped forward, kneeling before Jabari. You have returned not as an exile, but as a savior. You carry the wisdom of the spirits, the strength of the ancestors, and the heart of a true ruler. If you will guide us, we will follow. One by one, the villagers knelt. Jabari swallowed hard, feeling the weight of their trust settle upon him. He was no longer the frightened boy cast into the wilderness, he was Jabari, the chosen one of Ikon. He lifted his gaze to the people. I will not rule as a king, he declared. I will lead as one of you. Together, we will rebuild what was lost. We will honor our ancestors and forge a new future, free from fear and division. A great cheer erupted from the villagers, and for the first time in many years, Ikon felt whole again. The following days were filled with work and celebration. The villagers, guided by Jabari's vision, repaired homes, replanted fields, and constructed new wells. The Snake Queen's egg, now nestled safely in the heart of the village, pulsed with a steady glow, its magic a reminder of their journey and the trials they had overcome. As the sun set on the third day of restoration, Jabari stood atop a large stone, gazing over his people. He had once thought that his destiny was to seek revenge, to prove himself through battle. But now he understood his true purpose was not to destroy, but to heal. Nia joined him, her expression filled with pride. "Your father would have been proud," she said. Jabari nodded, feeling the warmth of his ancestors in the wind. "And I will ensure that his legacy lives on." From the shadows of the trees, a pair of glowing eyes watched. The Snake Queen, unseen by the villagers, dipped her head in approval. "He has become what he was meant to be," she whispered before vanishing into the night. Jabari, now the rightful leader of Ikond, turned to his people with a smile. "Tomorrow, we build a new future." The village roared in agreement, and under the watchful eyes of the spirits, the rebirth of Ikond had truly begun. Jabari's journey teaches us that hardships shape us into stronger individuals. It is through struggles that we grow. It also teaches us that forgiveness is a strength. Instead of seeking revenge against those who wronged him, Jabari chose unity and healing, proving that true strength lies in reconciliation. Did this story inspire you? What lessons did you take away from Jabari's journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more African folktales filled with wisdom, adventure, and timeless teachings. Until next time, may your path be guided by wisdom, and may your trials lead you to greatness. Thank you for watching.